The Delivery Management tab is a section where you can manage your delivery notes, and I'm going to go there now. So it's under OSM Delivery Management Shipment Analysis. There's a couple features here that I'd like to talk to you about before we actually create a delivery note. One of them is the scheduled date. So there's multiple options up here, and right now it's set at 3 months. What does that mean? It's basically giving you a view as to what the current scheduled quantity is on each of these orders based on a 3-month timeline into the future. So hovering over this quantity here, I'm seeing 3 months worth of scheduled quantity for this order, and you can see this particular order, I have my in-transit quantity because we just created that using the other feature, and you can see that here. Now another feature is the download planning details, which I'm going to select here. This feature is meant to provide you with a full schedule view on an Excel document on all the integrated orders. And you can see that when you click that icon, it downloads the Excel file to your computer, and you can use that to download it to your computer and use it as you need. Again, I have my color keys here showing me that I'm working with the current release, and I don't have anything pending, and I don't have any incomplete packaging, so everything is green here. I completed my master packaging data already. So to create a delivery note, I can use multiple materials and multiple orders on a delivery note, but there are a few things that you have to know to be able to do that. To demonstrate that for you, I'm going to go ahead and select the first material from material issuer number 1. And you're going to notice when I select material issuer number 1, the other 2 are grayed out. Now that is because a delivery note can only be used with the same material issuer, the same ship to, and the same Incoterms here. So let's go ahead and create a delivery note for these other 2 materials. And what I'd like to do is walk you through each of these steps. So again, along the top, you can see the material issuer, the ship to, and the Incoterms. So here I'm going to go ahead and enter my delivery note number. I'm going to enter 112A. Next thing, when did I create the delivery note here? Carrier, I'm just going to select from my list, and I'm going to say FedEx. When am I going to ship this material? I'm going to say this date. When do I expect it to arrive? I'm going to say this date, and then an estimated arrival time. I'm going to go ahead and say 4 p.m. One note about your estimated arrival date, please be sure that you're putting a realistic date here, because the MRP planners on the customer side are paying attention to the dates and make schedules on their end, so they're hoping that you're putting in something that's realistic. You can also include the arrival time again, but that's not mandatory. But I do want to note here that the arrival time does not overrule any contractual agreements that you might have with your customer. So now I have my 2 orders. This screen is always going to be the same. The only difference is going to be if I have 1 or multiple orders and materials. And again, we have 2 to deal with here. The first is for order number 6. We're going to say 1,000. And now I have order number 2. And here I'm going to say I have a quantity of 500. Ready to ship on this delivery note. I have 2 options here, and I'm going to demonstrate what the difference between the 2 of them are. We recommend that you go directly to create and edit your delivery note, which is this one right here, just because it brings you to this new delivery note screen where you can make some edits, make changes, and or finalize delivery notes by generating your labels and transmitting your EDI. So that's the one that I'm going to go ahead and select. Let me show you a few things here to demonstrate some features on this delivery note management tab. First thing I would like to bring your attention to is the expiration date, which you can see here. And this expiration date is showing it's mandatory. Why is it mandatory? Well, if you recall, on this material, I said that there was an expiration date to this material. So the system is saying, in that case, you must tell me what the expiration date is. So I'm just going to put an arbitrary date here and say this particular materials expire this date, and it was produced this date. Why do we use expiration dates? Typically it's because you have multiple batches. So how do you manage this quantity of 500 here if it represents more than one batch? Well, there's a feature under this subposition in the action column called Add Split Subposition, which is what I'm going to go ahead and select. The system will tell you if you made any changes to the delivery note. When you go to a different feature, you have to confirm those changes, which is what I'm going to do. It's going to give me this new window for the add split option, and it's going to ask you how many subpositions do you need, and I'm just going to add one more because I'm dealing with only 2 different batches. So I'm going to go ahead and add one. I'm not going to ask it to divide the quantities evenly because quantities are not divided evenly in this batch, but I am going to go ahead and add the split. So now you can see I have a second subposition for this material, and it's asking me what is the quantity here. And I'm going to say this quantity is 400. But I need to go ahead and modify this quantity because I'm only working with a total of 500 materials. I can change this quantity over here in the packaging area, or I can select from these options over here and select Edit Packaging. And that'll give me the opportunity to change my quantity when I do that. So I'm going to go ahead and change my quantity to 100 here. So now I have a total of 500. I still need to enter my expiration date and say this expiration date is a little bit earlier because my production date was also a little bit earlier. So again, this is just for example. And so now I can enter my batch numbers, and I'm just going to say here that this was batch number 1 and this was batch number 2, or whatever those numbers may be. And so now I finalize my modifications required for this material. I'm going to go ahead and save this delivery note. Now let me show you a couple other features with this other material. I'm going to come here to the action column and select Edit Packaging. This is going to bring me to a new window for this material that's going to show me what the system is telling me right now for this quantity, what is required for this packaging. So it's telling you here that it's one packaging quantity and it's a SHEP. So that's that larger single handling unit. We're going to say, well, actually, I want to put 1200 in this particular package. So I'm going to go ahead and change this material quantity to 1200. My quantity of print labels is fine, but just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to go ahead and add a package. This gives you a new window to select from your single handling unit or accessories that you have already created in the box. I'm going to say it's a single handling unit, and I'm going to select a cardboard box. And again, this is just for demonstration purposes. And I'm going to say I have a cardboard box with 50 additional materials that I want to add to this overall packaging. So I'm going to go ahead and save my packaging. This is going to bring me back to the delivery notes, and you can see my changes have been here. So now you can see the total quantity of 1250. I want to show you one more feature. I want to go ahead and select this material, and just to show you that I could even add a whole new position. It's not a sub position, it's a totally new position. So I can select this button here, and it brings me back to a window that is similar to that original delivery note creation page. And here I can tell the system that I have a different position that I want to enter for material number 6. I'm just going to demonstrate it by saying I want to have 100 pieces, and I'm going to go ahead and add the position. I'm doing all of this just to show you how flexible this part of the system is for you to navigate and manage. So now I have another position here. It's not a sub position again, it's a totally new position. Now I can make any of the changes that we just talked about before, or let's say I made a mistake. I can select the sub position and delete the position. So I'm going to go ahead and do that just for demonstration. You get a confirmation, just confirm it. So all the changes have been saved. I got rid of that supposition that I created, and everything is where how I wish, and that's how we're going to go ahead and stay.